Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Swati Agarwal. It's pleasure to welcome you all on our webinar on directory nature of Rule 117 of the CGST rule as propounded by the Honorable High Court of Delhi in its very recent judgment in the case of Brand Equity versus Union of India. On the web, I also have my co-moderator, Ms. Kritika Kapoor. For the purpose of today's webinar, we have Mr. Shamli Kapoor and Ms. Kavita Jha as our speakers. Needless to say that Mr. Shammi Kapoor is an eminent lawyer with over 25 years of experience. He's associated with Vaish Associates since 1995. He heads indirect tax practice of the firm and has vast experience of handling indirect tax litigation matters. Our second speaker, Mrs. Kavita Jha, is also an eminent lawyer with over 15 years of experience. She's an advocate on record and she heads firm's direct tax practice, litigation practice. She has vast experience of handling multitude of tax, civil, and criminal law matters. Now, I would like to take the opportunity to open the floor for Mr. Shamli Kapoor and Mrs. Kavita Jha. Over to you, Mr. Kapoor.
Thank you, Swati. Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to the webinar today being hosted by Vaish Associates. The topic of the day being directory nature of Rule 117 under the CGST Act. Now, before we start discussing on this aspect of directory nature under Rule 117 of the CGST Act, a broad view is that GST Act, as we are all aware, had come into effect almost close to 3 years back. But till today, we find that right from the inception of the day, from 1st July of 2017, we had been facing a lot of issues, be it technical glitches or non-technical glitches or many other aspects that may relate to GST law. So today's discussion, we are wanting to evolve under directory rule, has gone a bit slightly far than the first aspect when under the GST law, under Rule 117, Railway Section 140 of the Act, the assessee or the dealer or the companies were required to file their Tran 1. And the time limit as propounded under the Act initially was only for a period of 90 days, meaning thereby that the appointed day being 1st of July 2017, and the date to file Tran 1 in the initial phase was limited only to 30th of September 2017. Therein, after a lot of pressures from ICAI and other bodies, the time limit to file Tran 1 got extended to 27th of December 2017. Having said that, that date being a sacrosanct date, many of the assessees had a lot of problems in filing Tran 1 at that point of time, leading to maybe an issue pertaining to a technical glitch or a non-technical glitch in the nature that some people failed to file their Tran 1 on due date for reasons beyond their control. Or maybe when you were filing or submitting your Tran 1, there were error in omission in filing Tran 1. This matter in the first hand was taken up before Allahabad High Court when Vaish Associates had taken upon themselves on behalf of one of its clients to file a writ petition before Allahabad High Court in the name of Continental Tyres India Private Limited. In that matter, in the first hand itself, Justice Bharti Sapru gave an order holding that if on the basis of technical glitches, you can't hold your assessees liable for not claiming benefit under the erstwhile service tax or VAT or excise rule when the same were declared in its return or books of accounts as on 30th June of 2017. From that date from that order of Continental Tyres, we have gone a long way in these 3 years, and many high courts, be it Punjab, Haryana, be it Gujarat High Court, be it Delhi High Court, or be it Mumbai High Court, Telangana, Karnataka, and many others likewise. Many writ petitions were filed all these years, and specifically on technical glitches, courts were quite liberal in granting relief to many of the assessees. Having said that, in this matter, which is under discussion today, under the cost title of Brand Equity Private Limited, in which a bunch of writ petitions were filed, and we were also a party through one of our clients, developer group. The High Court, Delhi High Court, was pleased to read down Rule 117 in so far as it is directory in nature. So, having said that, the courts had come out heavily on this aspect that yes, technical glitch or no technical glitch, advertently or inadvertently, if any person had failed to file its return for whatever reasons it could have been, as on 27th December 2017, it should be given one more opportunity to file its return under Tran 1, and the date has been extended to 30th June. To take a note of this, the last date for filing under Tran 1 has extended from time to time as per 5 notifications which had come on its way, right from 18 September of 2017. The last date was pegged to be 31st March 2020. Now, in light of that date, this judgment was pronounced on 5th of May 2020, taking into account the larger aspect and the larger aspect of the assessees to deal with this, that whosoever has not been able to file for whatever reasons it can be, they should be allowed this period. So I would, on this count, we have prepared a presentation taking into account the various facets. There are various arguments taken by the petitioners and the respondent while this matter was being argued at length by us. I would now request my colleague Kavita Jha to take us through the nuances or the facets of the said ruling, which is quite helpful to people, to assessees and people and companies at large, so that they can come forward, and if they have not filed their Tran 1 as on that date, they can now come up and file their Tran 1 by 30th June 2020. With this, I request my colleague Kavita Jha to go through the presentation, which is also available on the website, on the site right now. Over to you, Kavita ma'am. Kavita ma'am. Hello. Hello.
Hello everyone. There seems to be some network issue on Kavita ma'am's side.
I think as we talk of technical glitches, it's we are able to find that there is a technical glitch at the site of Mrs. Kavita Jha. In the meantime, if she is not able to connect, I think Swati, you can take us through the presentation.
Sure. Yes, Mr. Kapoor. Our first slide, please. Our first slide. So for the purpose of our today's presentation, our flow of agenda is introduction of goods and services tax laws. Then after we will be discussing provisions which are enabling transition of input tax credit, difficulties faced by assessees in transitioning of input tax credit, extension of time for availment of input tax credit in cases of technical glitch. What about cases where delay in filing on Trans 1 was not due to any technical glitch? Such scenarios. Judgment in the case of brand equity treaties and others versus Union of India by Honorable Delhi High Court. And what is the position of law? Is it finally settled or no? Our next slide. So as we all know that 1st July 2017 witnessed a sea change with respect to the with respect to the indirect taxes laws. On 1st July 2017, the new indirect tax regime was introduced in the country by way of various enactments, including the Central Goods and Services Tax Act. GST has been a major structural reform of the current government, replacing multiple taxes and cesses of state and central governments into a single tax. The CGST Act introduced transitionary provisions to enable the taxpayers to migrate from the erstwhile indirect tax regime to the new tax regime. Next slide.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, you can join in. I think there was some technical glitch. So
Hello?
I think we are on the second
Hello?
slide.
I think our speaker, Mrs. Kavita Jha, has joined in. Mrs. Jha, are
Hello?
we audible to you?
Yes, Swati, thank you so much. But am I audible? That's the first technical
Yeah.
glitch I'm facing. Am I audible now?
Yes, Mrs. Jha, you are audible.
Thank you so much. I must thank you first for introducing me to the viewers, and I must thank Mr. Kapoor for asking me to give this presentation. And I must say that we're talking a lot about technical glitches. So this is the first technical glitch which I'm facing. You know, I'm trying my best to overcome. You know, still somehow my webcam is not working. So this Delhi High Court judgment, which has been pronounced day before yesterday, is a welcome judgment, and we will be talking about in little detail about this judgment. So that, and will tell us and will tell you that the problem has not solved yet. There's a long way to go, and the problem still persists. So we'll try and explain what was the argument of the petitioners before Delhi High Court, and the various issues which are still there, which are still alive, and the way forward. So I can start with the presentation. Let me just start with. So please let me know if I'm not audible, because you know actually I'm facing a technical glitch from my end. On 1st July 2017, the new indirect tax regime was introduced in the country by way of various enactments, including the Central Goods and Services Tax Act 2017. In short, we are calling CGST Act. GST has been a major structural reform of the current government, replacing multiple taxes and cesses of state and central government into a single tax. The CGST Act introduced transitionary provisions to enable the taxpayers to migrate from the erstwhile indirect regime to the new GST regime. The next slide, please. Transitionary provisions. Section 140 of the CGST Act deals with the transitionary provisions. Section 140 has several subclauses. However, for the purpose of present presentation, we are reproducing subclause 1 of section 140, and the same reads as under. We are just trying to put the judgment and the presentation in perspective, so that we are not dealing with each and every section, each and every clause of the CGST Act, but the clauses which are relevant and the way the High Court has dealt with this particular clause. So it will be relevant for us to understand what this particular clause actually says and it means. Section 140, clause 1. A registered person other than a person opting to pay tax under section 10 shall be entitled to take in his electronic credit ledger the amount of SENVAT credit carried forward in the return relating to the period ending with the day immediately preceding the appointed day, furnished by him under the existing law in such manner as may be prescribed, provided that the registered person shall not be allowed to take credit in the following circumstances, namely, where the said amount of credit is not admissible as input tax credit under this Act, or where he has not furnished all the returns required under the existing law for the period of 6 months immediately preceding the appointed date, or where the said amount of credit relates to goods manufactured and cleared under such exemptions notifications as are notified by the government. Next slide, please. In pursuance of section 140 of CGST Act, the Central Goods and Services Tax Rules 2017 were framed. Rule 117 of the CGST rules with which we are concerned and which we are dealing with, Rule 117 of the CGST rules imposed a time limit of 90 days for availing benefit of accumulated SENVAT credit as provided under section 140 clause 1 in its input tax credit register under the CGST Act. So what we can see is this Rule 117, which is a subordinated legislation. So Act said that it will be prescribed how to avail the benefit of accumulated SENVAT credit. So Rule 117 came into picture, and that has basically explained how to avail this benefit of accumulated SENVAT credit. So Rule 117 of the CGST rules imposed a time limit of 90 days for availing benefit of the accumulated SENVAT credit as provided under section 140 clause 1 in its input tax credit register under the CGST Act. Relevant portion of the said rule reads as under. every registered person entitled to take credit of input tax under 140 shall, within 90 days of the appointed day, submit a declaration electronically in form GST Tran 1, duly signed on the common portal, specifying therein separately the amount of input tax credit of eligible duties and taxes as defined in explanation 2 to section 140, to which he is entitled under the provisions of the said section, provided that the commissioner may, on the recommendations of the council, extend the period of 90 days by a further period not exceeding 90 days. Provided further that where the inputs have been received from an export-oriented unit or a unit located in electronic hardware technology park, the credit shall be allowed to the extent as provided in sub-rule 7 of Rule 3 of SENVAT Credit Rules 2004. Can we have the next slide, please? Also relevant because notwithstanding anything contained in sub-rule 1, the commissioner may recommendations of the council extend the date submitting the declaration electronically in form GST Tran 1 by further period not beyond 31st March 2020 in respect of registered persons who could not submit the said declaration by the due date on account of technical difficulties on the common portal, and in respect of whom the council has made recommendations for such extensions. So this one extent. Basis 1A extended the further time period by 31st March 2020. The transition from ERS regime to GST for the availment of SENVAT credit was to be done by way of declaration to be submitted electronically in form GST. The date prescribed for filing of the said form was extended several times by way of orders issued from time to time, finally till 2019.
Swati, you may start. Swati?
Yes, sir. I think Mr. Jha, he has again lost the connection. So as she was explaining that Rule 117 of the CGST rules, it provided a time limit of 90 days for the availment. So during that time, as we all know, Mrs. Jha, have you patched in?
Yes, I have. I think there's some problem at the organizer end. So, please kindly check this. Hello?
Yes, Mrs. Jha, we are working in the background. In the meanwhile, you can continue with the presentation.
Sure. Thanks. Thank you so much. Thanks. So chaos amidst the process of transitioning of SENVAT credit. So several taxpayers could not meet the deadline. This was on account of several factors, predominantly being inadequacies in the network of the government, which failed to meet the expectations and serve the needs of taxpayers. In fact, we are at different locations, and even if you really ask me, every now and then we are facing this kind of a low connectivity, or we are not able to connect. So when we're talking about ourselves, when we have double, everybody has Wi-Fi, everybody has dongle, everybody is able to connect to various modes, still we are facing problems. Just think about those SECs who are actually facing this problem in actual technical glitches. So there were several taxpayers could not meet the deadline, and this was in fact a problem across the country. So this was on account of several factors, predominantly being inadequacies in the network of the government, which failed to meet the expectations and serve the needs of taxpayers. Thousands of taxpayers complained that there was low bandwidth, and despite several attempts being made on GST network, they were unsuccessful in filing the statutory GST Tran 1 form online. Scores of complaints were made on the portal, and it was also brought to the notice of the government. Also, various petitions were filed before various high courts across the country, whereby in some cases, in fact, as VASH, we also filed various petitions before Punjab Haryana High Court, Delhi High Court, and these were the problems which was brought to the notice of the honorable courts. So various writ petitions were filed before various high courts across the country, whereby in some cases the honorable courts have directed the department to allow the SSC to file their form GST Tran 1 online or to accept them manually in cases where the said form could not be filed due to technical glitch of the GST network portal. Can we have the next slide, please? So since there were a lot of problems and since there were a lot of issues which were raised by the different taxpayers across the country, so what was the action which the government took? So there were several actions which the government took. The department issued a circular under such circular number such and such dated 3rd April 2018 to set up an IT grievance redressal mechanism to address the grievance of taxpayers due to technical glitches on GST portal, and also extended the time limit on various occasions for SSCs who could not file form GST Tran 1 by 27 December 2017 due to technical glitches on the GST network portal. Date of filing of form GST Tran 1 was further extended to 31st March 2019 via notification number such and such dated 10 September 2018, whereby it inserted sub rule 1A to rule 117 of the CGST rules inter alia for those SSCs who could not file their form GST Tran 1 due to technical glitches on GST network. As on date, the last date was 31st March 2020. However, for other situations where the SSC could not file form GST Tran 1 due to genuine reasons was not addressed by the government, thereby resulting in loss of SENVAT credit to the SSC who could not file form GST Tran 1 by 27 December 2017. So in short, we can say that the government was sure that only those glitches which was due to the technique, because due to the attempt by the SSCs who actually made the attempt in filing the form and they faced some problem either on their end or on the GSTN portal. So they said they can only take care of those difficulties and if there are actual glitches and which they're able to show. So government by various circulars and notification took into consideration these difficulties, these problems, but they did not consider about those SSCs who in fact due to bona fide reasons had either failed or had not even tried to attempt and file the Tran 1 form. So what happens to those kind of SSCs? Can we have the next slide, please? So these were the problems. So we were part of the batch. So we were also arguing for one of the clients. So we also thought of challenging the wires of Rule 117. The reason was because if you really see Section 140, Section 140 does not lay down the time limit. It is only via Rule 117 which is laying down the rules. So our first basic argument was that it's the substantive provision cannot be there, substantive provision and especially the time limit. And in a way, the sub delegation which was given to the rule was in a way overreaching the Parent Act, which is the Act itself. So there was no time limit in the Act in Section 140, whereas Rule 117. So there were many arguments which we took, which I'll just be dealing with. But broadly, we also challenged the wires of Rule 117. We then said that, at least if the constitutional wires cannot be upheld, then it should be read down to take into consideration those SSCs whose, bona fide for reasons other than those technical glitches should also be considered. Why are you creating a class among class? Why those SSCs should not be considered? So the batch of matters were taken up before Delhi High Court, and the issues before Delhi High Court was as under. In batch of matters where there were four petitioners basically. We were appearing for developers group where we had challenged the wires and also the peculiar fact of our case, which I'll deal with in a little while. In a batch of matters where all the four writ petitions was seeking identical relief in the nature of a writ of mandamus, directing the respondents to permit the petitioner to avail input tax credit of the accumulated SENVAT credit as on 30th June 2017 by filing declaration form Tran 1 beyond the period provided under CGST rules. The delay in the petitioner's case did not occur on account of technical glitch on the portal, but arose owing to the other technical difficulties at the end of the SSC, that is the petitioners. So in our case, factually, the problem was that it was not that we did not attempt it. In fact, we were advised that we were advised by, in fact, our client was advised that you are not entitled to carry forward, rather you should claim refund. So under the misconception, we did not even try to attempt. So we did not even try to attempt and fill in that portal. So there was no technical glitch in that sense. So we could not have argued and come under the first ambit that because of technical glitches, we were not able to log in. And that is the reason our case should be considered under the first category, wherein even the government was considering those cases where due to technical glitch, or if you have a problem in login or in their portal or in the GSTN portal, they were considering those cases. So numerous writ petitions were allowed if there was a technical glitch and you were able to show that what kind of a technical glitch the SSC was facing or was having. So our case was not of a technical glitch. It was a case of a bona fide reason for which we had actually not even entered into the portal and not even applied. So it was the petitioner's case that for situations where there was no technical glitch involved and where the SSC could not file GST Trans 1 due to genuine reasons was not addressed by the respondents, thereby resulting in loss of SENVAT credit to the SSC who could not file form GST Trans 1 by 27 December 2017. It was thus submitted that Rule 117 of the CGST rules is ultra vires of Section 140 Clause 1 of the CGST Act, arbitrary, unconstitutional, and violative of Article 14 of the Constitution to the extent it imposes time limit within which SENVAT credit accrued to the SSC can be carried forward by him. And in fact, there were various submissions which we argued. So I'll just touch upon with those various submissions which we had argued and which we had also wrote in our petition. So basically, our argument was before of course, I'll read whatever is there in the presentation because we have brought the crux. But then I'll say orally, what was our submissions which we made before the court. The first argument, of course, which we made was Section 140 of the CGST Act provides for a substantive right which cannot be curtailed or defeated on account of a procedural lapses. Then we also argued that the entitlement of credit of carry forward of the eligible duties or input tax credit is a vested right. Then we also argued the right accrued under the existing law have been saved by the CGST Act. The right to carry forward the SENVAT credit is a constitutional right. Then it was arbitrary to discriminate in terms of time limit to allow the availment of ITC with respect to the purchase of the goods and services made in the pre-GST regime and post-GST regime. So there should not have been made any discrimination. We also argued about doctrine of legitimate expectations could also be said to be violated. Then liability to pay GST on sales of stock carried forward from the previous tax regime without corresponding input tax credit would lead to double taxation on the same subject matter. Then we also argued on the various cases which is already settled that the procedure cannot be deterrent but only a servant. So procedure law, we also argued that since Rule 117 is a procedure law, is always subservient and it should aid to justice. So these were the basic arguments which we wanted to highlight and which we argued also before the court. So the main points now which we have made in our presentation and which went well with the court was, so the arguments which we raised before the court and which went well with the court also. So we submitted as petitioners that the accumulated SENVAT credit is the property of the SSC and constitutionally protected under Article 300A of the Constitution. We all are aware that right under Article 300A is now rights to property is no more a fundamental right, it is only a constitutional right. So which cannot be taken away by framing CGST rules without there being any substantive provisions in this regard under the CGST Act. The time limit in Rule 117 rules is a procedural in nature and not mandatory provisions, and thus period provided therein could not be enforced so as to deprive the petitioner from availing their vested right. In support of this contention, reliance was placed upon the decision of Supreme Court in the case of such and such. Then no time limit has been provided by Section 140 Clause 1 of the CGST Act for carrying forward of accrued SENVAT credit in the GST regime. And thus Rule 117 of the CGST rules, which is a delegated legislation, cannot travel beyond the scope of Parent Act. Can we have the next slide, please? So we also argued that Rule 117 of the CGST rules is in conflict with Section 140, Clause 1 of the CGST Act, to the extent it provides the time limit within which SENVAD credit could have been transitioned in the GST regime. Thus, CGST Act, and in particularly Section 140, Clause 1 of the CGST Act, being the parent act, will prevail over Rule 117 of the CGST rules. So these are the judgments at that particular point of time, which was in favor. So we relied on all these judgments: Siddharth Enterprise, Krish Automotors, Edford, Asia, Jacob, ABPAL. We'll be dealing with these cases in a little while, and we'll say the favor and the against judgment, and we'll just try to reconcile the judgments and the position as on today. Can we have the next slide, please? Now, these were our arguments which we made, and as respondents, the respondent also had made various arguments. We have encapsulated their arguments as well. It was submitted by it was internally submitted that the petitioner's failure to file the declaration form from form Tran 1 within the due date was not attributable to any technical glitches while uploading the forms, which I mentioned. That so for our case, maybe other as well. There were genuine bona fide reasons for which they had not uploaded the forms. Ours is also one of the cases where we had not uploaded the form. We did not, in fact, face any technical glitch in that sense. The delay was result of the follies of the petitioners and did not warrant relief similar to what had been granted by the courts in several other cases. Under subsection 1 of section 164 of the CGST Act, government is authorized to make rules for carrying out the provisions of the Act on recommendations of the Council. The CGST rules laid down by the central government, including the rules impugned in the present petition, flow from the CGST Act and are in consonance with the intention of the legislature. Can we have the next slide, please? Subsection 1 of section 140 of the CGST Act empowers the government to fix the time frame for availing the carry forward of input tax credit by transitioning the SENVAD credit into the GST regime. The benefit of taking credit was not a vested right of an SSC and certainly could not be claimed in perpetuity. The same was subject to certain conditions, safeguard and limitations in such a manner as was prescribed. The input tax credit was in the nature of benefit concession, extended as per the scheme of the statute. The rules, therefore, can be framed to limit the benefit while extending the concessions. In support of the submissions, revenue inter alia relied upon the two cases. Basically, the two judgments of Gujarat High Court, which basically they relied upon. They relied upon Willowwood Chemicals to strongly contend that that since it was a concession, and since it was a concession, so SSC was not entitled to avail that benefit. So that was a major contention they argued. And we must admit that there's another judgment of Bombay High Court in the case of JCB, which which has held that there is nothing indivisible or absolute in the right which can be claimed by the SSC. So that is again an against judgment which has come, which we will be dealing in a little while. So far respondents are concerned, at that particular point of time, they strongly relied upon Willowwood, which has in fact has upheld the wires and said that it was Rule 117 was perfectly valid. Can we have the next slide, please? So while after considering the views of the different petitioners and the respondents, the Honorable Delhi High Court ultimately held. We are telling you the bullet points, and we'll share the judgment as well to all the viewers. The SENVAD credit, which stood accrued and vested, is the property of the SSC and is a constitutional right under Article 300A of the Constitution. The same cannot be taken away merely by way of delegated legislation by framing rules without there being an overarching provisions in the CGST. So whether this is a vested right or not is again a question mark. Delhi High Court has held in the favor of the taxpayers, holding that SENVAD credit is an accrued and a vested right, whereas the Bombay High Court and Gujarat High Court, they are of the view that it is basically in the nature of concession. So it is not a vested right. So you cannot claim it as a matter of right. So that's the view which we have from Gujarat and Bombay High Court. Bombay in JCB and Gujarat in Willowwood. Then Rule 117 of the CGST rules is procedural and directory. and cannot affect the substantive right of the registered taxpayer to avail of the existing accrued and vested Senvat credit. The procedure cannot run contrary to the substantive right vested under subsection 1 of section 140. In this regard, Honorable High Court placed reliance on the cases of Salem Advocates Bar Association, then Commissioner Central Excise Ashok Leland. Can we have the next slide, please? Then the limitation on the right to carry forward the Senvat credit is substantively provided by the provisor to section 140 clause 1. Those are the only limitations on the statutory right. Under the garb of framing rules, which are subordinate legislation, the width of those limitations could not have been expanded, as is sought to be done by introduction of Rule 1A. In absence of any consequences being provided under section 140 to the delayed filing of Tran 1, Form Rule 117 has to be read to be understood as directory and not mandatory. The purport of transitionary provisions is to allow a smooth migrant from the erstwhile service tax regime to the new GST regime, and the interpretation must be in consonance with the said purpose. Rule 117 is to be read down as being directory in nature, insofar as it prescribes the time limit for transitioning of credit, and therefore the same would not result in the forfeiture of the rights in case the credit is not availed within the period prescribed. Next slide, please. In absence of any specific provisions under the CGST Act, residuary provisions of the Limitation Act, the period of 3 years should be. In fact, Delhi High Court has actually brought in the concept of Limitation Act, has brought in the time limit under the Limitation Act. The Delhi High Court said that since there is no time limit under the Act per se, then we are falling under the residuary clause, and they took shelter under the Limitation Act, and specifically said that the period of 3 years can be the guiding principle. In absence of any specific provisions under the CGST Act, residuary provisions of the Limitation Act, the period of 3 years should be the guiding principle, and thus a period of 3 years from the appointed date would be the maximum period for availing of such credit. Since all the petitioners have filed or attempted to file Form Tran 1 within the aforesaid period of 3 years, they shall be entitled to avail the input tax credit accruing to them. They were thus permitted to file relevant Tran 1 form on or before 30th June 2020. Respondents were directed to either open the online portal so as to enable the petitioners to file declaration Tran 1 electronically, or to accept the same manually. The Honorable Court further held that the other taxpayers who were similarly situated should also be entitled to avail the benefit of this judgment, and directed the respondents to publicize this judgment widely, including by way of publishing the same on their website, so that others who may not have been able to file Tran 1 till date are permitted to do so. In fact, Delhi High Court has given benefits to all the taxpayers who have not even tried or who have failed to avail this input tax credit. They can now, before 30th June, file this Tran 1 and can avail this benefit. So we say this is a welcome judgment which has come from Delhi High Court, and in fact this will help a lot of taxpayers. Now the problem, according to us, will not end here. In fact, the problem now begins. So there are some judgments. So if we really ask, is the law finally settled? Can we say Delhi High Court has actually settled the issue? Answer is not, we can't say answer is yes, or we can't say answer is no. But yes, there are issues which we need to talk about. There are issues which we need to, think about. So what we have done is, there are some judgments which are in favor and there are some judgments which are against. So we'll try and reconcile these judgments and come to a common conclusion, which can help the SSCs and the taxpayers as well. And then see, ultimately, of course, everything depends on Supreme Court, because department have traveled to Supreme Court. The matters are now pending before Supreme Court. But let's see how the courts have seen this provisions, mandatory versus directory, vested right versus concession, and how have this been dealt. So what we have decided is, me and Mr. Kapoor, we are arguing among ourselves So he will be dealing with the judgments. He will be basically telling us about those cases which are in favor of the SSCs, and I will be dealing with those cases, basically pointing out those cases which are against the SSC. And then, of course, we'll apprise you of what is pending before Supreme Court and what is the next step, which according to us department will take in this particular judgment. So over to you, Mr. Kapoor.
Yeah, thank you. It is indeed delighted. We are all delighted to hear your presentation. Having said that, we had internally decided that I shall be speaking for the judgments which have been, which are there since 2018 onwards, right from Continental Tire till date. And Kavita ma'am will be speaking against the judgments which are there, like Willowwood from Gujarat High Court, JCB, and the recent judgment from Mumbai High Court, which is Nalco Industries versus Union of India. To start with, as I in my opening remarks stated, that the first of its kind landmark judgment was in the Continental Tires. In that, we had filed a petition before Allahabad High Court only on the ground that there was a technical glitch. Now, the technical glitch, otherwise the word technical is not reflected anywhere in the GST Act. So it was difficult for us to persuade the client that we should go and file the writ before Allahabad High Court. And it being the first of its kind, they were slightly hesitant to do so. However, when we prevailed over the company that we should, because it's otherwise going to be a loss of almost 35 crore, they agreed. And when we filed the petition, Justice Bharti Sapru was so hellbound that instead of the counsel appearing in the matter speaking, she gave directions to the DR that that this technical glitch has created a situation where many people, despite there being a specific date, failed to file their returns. In that specific case of Continental Tire, while they were submitting the return as on 27th December of 2017, they were getting the pop-up message, error in submitting. Error in submitting itself was creating a problem, and that related to a technical glitch. Having said that, once this judgment was made available on all India basis to all people across India, they all approached the government and GST Council that this technical glitch issue has to be resolved. So what the government did, they created a nodal agency or nodal officers across India to see if any person, as on 27th December, if was able to try to file the return, and there is some information available with them, or then he can approach this nodal officer and persuade whether there was any lacuna in the part of, or there was a technical glitch and on the side of the portal. That being the situation, what the department was only taking into account was technical glitch if it was on the portal, not on the portal of the client. So this was creating a larger issue. On these basis, there were a whole lot of cases filed up before various high courts, including Punjab Haryana High Court, Gujarat High Court, Mumbai High Court, and specifically Delhi High Court that I will be dealing with. In line with these judgments, the first of its kind, the matter that traveled to Delhi High Court was Bluebird Pure Private Limited, and that was also in the nature of technical glitch. Subsequently, there was Bhag Motors. Subsequently, there was Krish Automotive, and in between there was a batch of matters which were filed before Punjab and Haryana High Court, challenging the wires of the Constitution and holding that there can be many kind of a situation where, despite there being internet facility, there were a lot of other issues which were faced by the SSC, and that is resulting into misutilization or non-availability of the credit which otherwise was available to them as on 30th June of 2017. Now, at Fred Technologies, there were almost 120 writ petitions which were filed, and the High Court, Punjab and High Court, was pleased to grant a favorable judgment, and it went on to state, even in that judgment, they went on to state that anybody having any problem, whether it was inadvertently or advertently there was a problem, one could file or one could not file, or there was a bona fide reason. In that situation, the Punjab Haryana High Court had granted a favorable judgment to all the SSC. This matter had traveled to Supreme Court, and as recent in February or March, the Supreme Court had dismissed this petition. Now, one can say, since this matter has traveled from Punjab and High Court to Supreme Court, and Union of India has filed a petition in Supreme Court which stands dismissed as on date. But there can be a contrary view, which Kavita can talk about, whether a summarily decision of the Supreme Court is binding and will act as an arbiter all across the department, more specifically the GST department. Further, after Krish Automotive, we had challenged the wires under Rule 117 along with Section 140, subsection 1, on the ground that this is the Rule 117 is only procedural in nature, and therefore, as the time being prescribed under Rule 117, and there is no prescription of time under Section 140, therefore it is ultra vires the Constitution. And as has been rightly held by Honorable Delhi High Court in the judgment that we have been discussing during this webinar, the High Court has gone on to this extent that it is a vested right. Undoubtedly, I would say I am for the issue that the High Court has dealt on this, that this is a vested right. Because why I say it is a vested right, and the High Court was right in its approach in holding, because for the reason, as on 30th June 2017, in the books of accounts or the returns filed by various assessees, I have already claimed that in my books of accounts and returns, and therefore it is a right, a vested right, which is accrued in me, and therefore by virtue of limiting my time period, you cannot take away that right. Needless to say, barring that it's a 90 days plus 90 days. However, having said that, the department had from time and again extended the time period, and the time period has been extended till 31st March of 2020 only for those assessees who could show that there was a technical glitch. So therefore, these judgment ADFRED Technologies from Punjab and High Court and Delhi High Court in our case of brand equity, where there is a bunch of matters filed, and developer group which we were representing and challenged the wires of the Constitution, and the High Court was pleased to read down Rule 117 insofar as it is directory in nature, and hence it is arbitrary and vague and unconstitutional. And therefore, I would suggest that the right which is vested or accrued should be made available, and therefore the time period as allowed by Delhi High Court, extending the time period from 31st March to 30th June of 2020 is a welcome, is welcome, and therefore the orders shall prevail. I would also like to add one thing. There is a judgment which we had talked about in the initial phase of the presentation, Willowwood Chemicals. In that also, the petitioner had challenged the wires of the Constitution. However, the petition got dismissed. However, subsequently, there was another judgment which came from Gujarat High Court in the case of Siddharth Enterprise. And since in the case of Siddharth Enterprise, the petitioner was able to show that there was a technical glitch, the Gujarat High Court gave an order which was favored in the petition. So we can say that there are contrary judgments even from the same High Court that has dealt on this issue. And this issue of Willowwood Chemical also came up for as a reference in ADFRED Technologies. And ADFRED Technology, Punjab and High Court specifically categorically held that this judgment in Willowwood Chemical is distinguishable, and therefore they shall not follow that judgment. However, they will follow Siddharth Enterprise, which is a favorable judgment from High Court of Punjab and Haryana. On these grounds, of course, the Limitation Act, which has been stated, which has been brought in as a new concept in the judgment of brand equity, which has not been dealt by any of the high courts. It is like a silver lining for many of the taxpayers, those who can come forward, and even those parties, those who had failed to not even file their Tran 1 as on 27 December of 2017, they can come forward and file their Tran 1 and claim their input tax credit, which was available to them as on 30th June 2017, and they can file their return by 30th September or 30th June of 2020. With these, I can ask Kavita if she has a different point of view, because the judgment that she is going to cite as recent of Mumbai High Court in the case of Nalco Industries and JCB, are contrary to what has been stated in Delhi High Court. Also, just before I conclude, I want to add that Section 140 subclause 1 has been amended so as to include within it parameter within such time as may be prescribed. As may be prescribed is already there in the Act, but within such time are the three words which have been included. However, having said that, this has not been notified as on date, and therefore, till date, even though it is forming part of, it is a proposed amendment in Section 140, since it is not notified, it would have no value, and therefore the Delhi High Court judgment in all its perspective would have a bearing on all the cases, whether it in Delhi or other jurisdictions as well. Kavita, you can take the cases against. Kavita ma'am?
I think she is again witnessing certain technical problems. Can we have next slide, please? Mr. Kapoor, I would request you to deal these cases which are against the SSC as well. In the meanwhile, Mrs. Jha is joining us.
Yeah, so as I stated, the judgment, first of the judgment of its kind, wherein the wires were challenged under Section 140 clause 1, read with Rule 117, is the case of Beloved Chemical, which has come out from Gujarat High Court. In that case, the petitions were dismissed by Gujarat High Court on the ground that it cannot be said that the right can be earned in perpetuity. So therefore, there has to be a limitation set up, limitation of time period set up by the Act, and therefore, as under the Act, there is a time limit of 90 days plus another 90 days was extended, and 27 December 2017 was the last date to file the Tran 1. The Gujarat High Court was pleased to file had dismissed the petition of the petitioner on these grounds, holding that it is in the nature of a concession, and one cannot say it is like a vested right. And therefore, on the same lines, there is a judgment of Mumbai High Court in the case of JCB India, and also Mumbai High Court in the case of Nalco Industries. There, the courts have drawn a parallel. They wanted to draw a parallel vis-a-vis a concession and your vested right, and the rate, and between directory and mandatory. So Mumbai High Court, while dwelling upon the issue and wherein this wires were challenged, even in these cases, held that the provision of Section 140 subclause 1, read with Rule 117, which is a subject matter of challenge under wires in both these judgments before Mumbai High Court, is in the nature of being mandatory. And it cannot be said that these rules are directory, as there is a specific mention of time period specified. Moreover, they said the input tax credit which was available to the assessees as on 30th June and which was allowed to be taken in transition in Tran 1 was in the nature of a concession. So therefore, Mumbai High Court has taken a totally different view vis-a-vis the view taken by other high courts. Needless to say, all the other high courts have gone on the aspect that yes, it is a vested right. It is a right which is accrued as on the date when the last date before the appointed date of 1st July 2017, when the GST Act came into play, as whatever was available as on 30th June should also be available to the assessees at large. Otherwise, it will lead to a double taxation in the hands of the assessees. These matters per se, JCB is already pending in Supreme Court, and as per the information made available, stay has been granted by Honorable Supreme Court against operation of the order. Likewise, there are other judgments which the department has filed in Supreme Court arising out of Telangana High Court. And as I referred to already, Adfred Technologies also traveled to Supreme Court. However, it was dismissed summarily by Supreme Court. and nothing has been discussed on merit. So one cannot take a plea that judgment can be said to be binding, and therefore all other judgments which have come before or after as per technologies shall also get dismissed summarily. Has
Yeah,
Kavita also joined?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Kapoor. I think you have put the questions, issues in perspective. But there's certain things I wanted to add. What Mr. Kapoor have explained. I said the first view, which according to us as the firm, which we think is the input tax credit in Trans 1 are the credits legitimately has accrued in GST transition. So it's actually a vested right. So we agree with what Delhi High Court has said. But there are two judgments which Mr. Kapoor has already mentioned, but I would like to draw your attention. The one judgment which is from Punjab Haryana High Court, which is Edford. In this judgment, they have actually considered Siddharth Enterprises, which is a later judgment of Gujarat High Court. And Gujarat High Court, which he was explaining, the Willowwood has gone against the SSC. They have held the rule to be intra-vires. They have said it is not ultra-vires. So, and after Willowwood, the Siddharth Enterprise has come. Siddharth Enterprise has, in fact, it's an almost 65-page judgment. They have thrashed the entire issue and they have dealt and have decided the issue in favor of the SSC. And in Edford, which is Punjab Haryana High Court, they have referred specifically to Siddharth Enterprises and they've agreed to the view of Siddharth Enterprise, which is Gujarat High Court. And in para 12, they specifically say that we don't agree with the Willowwood judgment. And they said because they have not taken into consideration Rule 1A, which specifically which says that they had, by virtue of Rule 1A, they had extended the time limit by 31st March 2019. So in that way, they said they wanted to say that the Rule 117 is directory and not mandatory. And there's one more judgment which I thought is important, and I wanted to bring notice to the viewers, is Asiad Paints judgment, which is again a Karnataka High Court judgment. I'm just pointing out there's something different which was considered there. There they said that in terms of section 172 of CGST, any suitable order can be passed within 3 years. So this 3 years the Karnataka High Court took from section 172, and they said that GST tax regime is a new tax regime, and that too in the transitional period. They also said that even in terms of section 172, any suitable order can be passed within 3 years if any difficulty arises in giving effect to any provisions of the act for the purpose of removing the said difficulty. So that was a specific finding of Karnataka High Court. They agreed to the view of Edford, which is Punjab Haryana High Court, where SLP of the department has been dismissed. And they also agreed with the view of Delhi High Court in Krish Automotive. So timeline, they specifically said that so far timeline is concerned, it is basically a directory provision and it cannot be mandatory. One problem we see here from the Delhi High Court judgment, it is in fact, we can't say that the power of High Court and Supreme Court are same, because Supreme Court has power under section under Article 142. So if they want to modify some provisions, if they want to give some, they want to make a law which is applicable to the entire nation, in that sense, they have that power under 142. But High Court in a writ jurisdiction have given this blanket order saying that any and every SSC who have not availed this input tax credit has not been able to file Trans 1, whether due to glitches or no glitches, they can do it. So definitely department will not accept it, and they are going to go to the Supreme Court and they'll ask for a stay of the judgment, because they will not give this benefit, because this could be carry forward, this could be refund, this could be any claim. So they are definitely, it is going to be challenged before Supreme Court. That's what we think so far this judgment of Delhi High Court is concerned. But anyways, the judgment is a welcome judgment, and I think most of the SSCs who have not availed should try and quickly do this.
But just to add, the four contenders in this petition in brand equity, there were 4 different aspects that have been dealt. One was, of course, our case where we were under a bona fide belief that we could have filed, but we could not file. The case of Micromax, they filed their online GST Tran 1 much before the time, but failed to file the exact amount, which was roughly around 6 crore. And brand equity also, they made an advertent, it was an admission on the part of brand equity that they had, because they were part of the group company, big conglomerate, they could not approach and file Tran 1 as on 27th December 2017. And therefore, on these admissions, specific admissions made by the writ petitioners, the Delhi High Court has gone on to these extent and said that therefore, in the last para of the judgment, they say that it should be widely publicized by the department so that anybody or everybody who has failed to file, be it on the account of technical glitch or non-technical glitch, whether it is advertence on the part of a petitioner or a non-advertence on the part of the petitioner, they should be rightfully given their one more chance to come and file their GST Tran 1 so that valid claim as existed on 30th June of 2017 can be claimed by them by extending the time period till 30th June 2020 by Delhi High Court.
So in short, the conclusion is the matter is now pending before Supreme Court. So the matter is now pending before Supreme Court because there are two views which are now available. One is, of course, Delhi High Court, Punjab, Haryana, which is in favor of the taxpayers, and the other view is Gujarat High Court and Bombay High Court. And since there are conflict decisions, so that way yes, issue is now pending before Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has to ultimately decide this issue. There's just one flaw. I thought if anybody has read the judgment very closely, I thought I'll just bring on and leave it there. There's one flaw which I found in the Delhi High Court judgment is that in Delhi High Court they have referred to Order 8 of CPC, wherein they said that filing of written statement is directory or mandatory. They said it is directory, but the latest judgment of Justice Nariman is there, and a specific, of course, law was not settled at that particular point of time. And there were a lot of chaos. But before this judgment of Delhi High Court came, law was already settled. Justice Nariman had specifically said that, of course, the date which is there, the 90 days of filing of written statement before the district courts, the written statement is mandatory. It is no more directory. So that flaw which I found was there in the Delhi High Court judgment.
Also, just to add, as I stated that Section 140 subclause 1 is proposed to be amended by including within such time as may be prescribed, even though not notified. And also the other aspect that there was already a judgment of Mumbai High Court, which was already made public in the first week of April. That has not found any merit in any mention in the Delhi High Court judgment. So I think when the matter travels to Supreme Court, if at all, and I'm sure the department would be too keen to take up this matter to Supreme Court, they would definitely like to place on record that Delhi High Court had not taken into cognizance or this aspect of Mumbai High Court, and also the proposed amendment which is to be made with retrospective effect in the GST Act.
I would like to thank Mr. Shami Kapoor and Mrs. Jha for beautifully explaining the intricacies of the judgment and its impact on the industry at large. In the meanwhile, we have received a few questions which we will be posting to Mr. Kapoor and Mrs. Jha. Kritika, over to you.
Yeah. So, sir, the first question has come for you, and it is actually on the last point that you made. The question is, can assessees still avail the benefit of the judgment of the Delhi High Court, especially after the amendment of Section 140 subsection 1 made by the Finance Act 2020?
So as I made a mention, this section, the proposed amendment under Section 140 subclause 1 only reads within such time as may be prescribed. But even though it is finding place in the Finance Act, it has not been notified. So since it has not been notified till date, therefore the judgment of Delhi High Court shall prevail. And therefore all the people, those who had not taken benefit of filing GSTR Tran 1 during the period 27 December 2017, they can take advantage and go ahead and file their GSTR Tran 1 by 30th June 2020.
So the second question is also for you. Owing to this lockdown, can the assessees argue that the last date of filing Tran 1 should be further extended even beyond 30th June 2020?
So there is a kind of a dichotomy, I would say. See this as we refer to, that the time as referred to in the GST Act, which has been extended from time to time, starting from 18 September 2017, which extended the time period by another 90 days, so that the last date for filing of GSTR 1, GSTR Tran 1 was 27th December 2017. And from therein, almost 5 circulars or orders have been issued, or notifications have been issued extending the time period. And the last date of as extended was 31st March of 2020. Having said that, the order of Delhi High Court only says that the Limitation Act shall prevail, and the residuary section under the Limitation Act is a 3-year time period. So since 1st July 2017 was the first day of initiation or enactment, therefore the last date for getting any benefit of Tran 1 shall be 30th June of 2020. Now the question that comes to our mind is, there's already one judgment of Supreme Court on 23rd March 2020, wherein they have deferred, all time period, the limitation for whether it is filing of your returns or whether it is filing of your appeals. So there is kind of a creation of a dichotomy between 31st March and 30th June of 2020. Now, to answer your question straight, I don't think so that enough time has already been given by GST under the GST Act, and the High Court has also given another extension of 3 months. I presume there could not be any further extension beyond a period of 30th June.
Okay. One more question towards you is, what are the implications of dismissal of the SLP in the matter of Adfert Technologies Private Limited, that is arising from the state of Punjab?
Yeah, so it is interesting to note that one of its kind, Adfert Technologies versus Union of India was a favorable judgment in Punjab and High Court, and that matter traveled to Supreme Court, Union of India versus Adfert Technology. Now that judgment has been summarily, dismissed by the Supreme Court. Now, what is the kind of weightage that may have? I would rather like comments from Kavita Madam, because there are judgments on Supreme Court also that it should be a reasoned order. It cannot be just a one-liner order. Summarily dismissing, dismissing judgment.
I think law in this regard is well settled. Summarily dismissal or one-line dismissal per se is not a binding judgment in that sense. We can't say that there is a merger which has happened. So there is a celebrated judgment of Kanai Ahmed which says that one-liner, if an SLP has been dismissed by just one line without any reason order, then you cannot say that Punjab Haryana High Court view has been upheld and that has merged. So it's just a dismissal, and that is the reason perhaps we are seeing other judgments from Bombay High Court, which has now been stayed by Supreme Court. Otherwise, they would have simply followed the Punjab Haryana High Court dismissal and would have dismissed the SLPs. So that one-liner dismissal is actually just a dismissal.
Okay, so we have received another question. Can SSEs located outside the territorial jurisdiction of Delhi can avail the benefit of brand equity judgment rendered by the Honorable Delhi High Court? This is for you, Mrs. Jha.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So I think outside jurisdiction it will be difficult, because it will be only, because if you talk about jurisdiction, then any officers who are here in Delhi, they will be bound by that judgment, and jurisdictional officers have to implement that judgment. But since you have a Bombay High Court which is against, and if you go to Bombay and you want that judgment to be implemented, then definitely the Bombay officers won't implement, because there is a judgment in Bombay by Bombay High Court which is in favor of the revenue. So where Delhi High Court judgment is concerned, in other jurisdiction where there are favorable judgments, it will have a persuasive value. They will have a persuasive value, but not binding. So only Delhi officers or Delhi authorities are bound by the judgment, and they'll have to implement it if they don't go ahead and ask for a stay before Supreme Court.
Okay. Other question that we have received is, what is the difference between directory provision and mandatory provision vis-a-vis concession and vested right? This is
Is it
again for you, Mrs. Jha.
okay? Fine. I would love to answer this question. Thank you for this. I said, I think so for Willowwood is concerned, and even the JCB, they are very specific on saying that that input tax credit which is there for the SSCs, it's not a vested right. What they're trying to say, it is basically concession which the government has given. So according to me, this is absolutely wrong. So if you really ask me, the input tax credit in the trans 1 which is there is actually credits which are legitimately has accrued in the GST transitions. So moment it's a credit which has accrued to me, it's a vested right. It can't be a concession. So that way it's wrong. And when you're talking about mandatory provisions and procedural provisions, any rules, like for example, the Delhi High Court has said, the rules which are basically governing that how the credit has to be in, what is the time period it has to be done, those all are procedures to avail that input. So that provision, any procedural law is basically a directory provision and not mandatory. So any substantive right which has to come to is a mandatory provision, but any procedure which is governing it, like for example 117 which you're talking about, is a procedural law. So it is a directory provision in that sense.
Other question that we have received is, considering the fact that various matters on similar issue are pending before the Supreme Court, can a situation occur that department rejects to give effect to the Delhi High Court decision in brand equity case? This is again for you.
Is the question for me, Swati?
Yes, Mrs. Jha, it is for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so again, I think I've answered this question, but I would have, of course, answered once again. I said, as per my information, what I've got even before we started with the presentation is that revenue has even started have started preparing the matter, and they are going to file in Supreme Court next week itself, asking for a stay. So moment they get a stay of the Delhi High Court judgment, there is no question of implementation of this judgment. So they won't implement if they get a stay.
Thank you, Mr. Kapoor. Thank you, Mrs. Jha, for answering these questions. We have few more questions which we have received, but due to paucity of time, we will be answering those questions over mail. Thank you everyone for attending this seminar. We hope to see you soon with more seminar on legal development. Do send us your feedback. We look forward for the same.
Thank you so much, Swati.
Thank you so much.
Krishna. Thank you, Swati. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Kapoor.
Swati.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Ah.